regarding that.
But if he's good, look, maybe as he's gotten older, he is more into the mentoring than he would expect him to be, but he has to still be.
Right, you still got to get wins out of him. You still got to get innings out of him, quality innings, and hopefully that, along with that, he can bring along some of those young players.
Right, so you have your three, Skubal, Manning, and Sue. I'd rather have, hopefully he's healthy, even probably not as good as he was. I'd still rather have him than Peralta.
Oh, sure.
Jose Arena, or whoever else they're going to come up to.
But it also comes down to the price tag.
Exactly.
What's it going to cost you to get that?
Right, that's what I'm talking about. This is where a second.
Yeah.
All right, now the Lions are back in action at Ford Field Friday against the Indianapolis Colts. I saw that Carson Wentz may be practicing.
Well, him and Quentin Nelson are both supposed to be practicing. Only 3 weeks after they said 5 to 12, which still trying to figure out that gap.
I know. So, John?
Yeah.
We all saw what we saw on Sunday.
Yes, we all saw, and with the fact that there were so many guys that weren't playing, and we talk about, you mentioned, guys coming back to mentor guys. You didn't have a Michael Brockers out there on defense. Not that he was, going to change the course of that game, but you also didn't have Decker or Ragnow up front, and it was hard. It's hard to estimate what the Lions are going to be without some of those key players. Obviously, Jared Goff wasn't. We saw in the first preseason game, Jared Goff came in, and did he light the world on fire? No, but he did put together a decent drive. And there was a bunch of other questions at the end of the game. But my question to Lions fans is this. Did, in those first 2 preseason games, in splicing them together with some starters playing and some backups, do you have any hope, or have you settled in with the feeling of impending doom?
Well, are you talking about impending doom for the next 2-3 years? You're talking about impending doom.
I'm just talking about this year. I'm just talking about this year because when we played the schedule game, I went through that and I was more optimistic than anybody else here in the morning. Yes. I think Gator was in the middays there a little bit along my lines. I was 8 wins, I think 8-9 wins, somewhere in there. And I'm not backing off that right now because it's the preseason. And I mentioned, and I'll even give you some more guys. All right, T.J. Hockenson, DeAndre Swift. Now, we don't know if DeAndre Swift, how healthy he's going to be. Do we have another guy that's going to be banged up? Jamal Williams, but you also have guys on defense like Jamie Collins, Anzalone at the linebacker position. Flowers, Okwara, Brockers, I mentioned, didn't play. And so it's hard to get a grasp on what this team was if you're just looking at last Saturday night. But if you parse that together with what you saw in the first preseason game, I'm not ready to back off on the fact that I think this can be a decent team. I'm not going to say good. I'm definitely not going to say great.
What's your definition of decent?
Decent, right around battling for 500.
You're on correct.
Okay. Well,
look, I hope you're wrong. I really do. I don't see it because even the guys that are missing, they're not great players. And what the thing that's been disappointing, well, it was more the first game. And you would know better than I. Offensive line, which we expected to be the best unit on this team, maybe a top 10 in the league.
Eventually. But at the beginning, I don't know that they're going to be that because you still have a guy in Vaitai that we have a lot of questions about. And can he play that guard position?
I still have questions about Jonah Jackson because
he was a rookie last year.
He tailed off a little bit at the end of last year.
Yes, he did. And so what did he do? We heard he changed his diet. We heard this about so many of the Detroit Lions. And we hear this about everybody across the NFL. Oh, this is the greatest off season I've ever had in my career. Big Ben, right? Yeah. We saw him on Saturday.
Yes.
So I want to know from our listeners, do you have any hope or has impending doom set in?
248-539-9797. Here's Jeff Lessing.
WXYT FM and WXYT HD1 Detroit. An Odyssey station. Sports headlines. All day, every day. From the Sold by YC Sports Desk. This is 97.1. The Ticket.
Fly ball, right center. Deep. Got a chance. was his 362nd as a Tiger. He has now hit dingers in 37 different ballparks over his storied career. Many of his former teammates chiming in with congrats, including Justin Verlander, Prince fielder Nick Castellanos, and former manager Jim Leyland. Tigers set to honor Cabrera Friday night, September 24th, when they host Kansas City. Tigers win the game in 11 over Toronto, 5-3. They're off today. They're in St. Louis for the first of two tomorrow night, right here on 97.1. The Ticket. Lions back in the practice field today after losing at Pittsburgh on Friday. They'll wrap up the preseason Friday at home against the Colts. Don't expect many Lions starters to play in that one. Final round of the Barclays, first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Final round today after a washout yesterday. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson for more 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Live from the Jamie Samuelson Studio, Stoney and Jansen on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hope everybody had a good weekend. Obviously, if you're a fan of Miguel Cabrera, you enjoyed yesterday. Weather was definitely beautiful. A little hot for some, but beautiful day to be out on the lake, be at the pool, golf course, wherever.
You were at the pool.
It was the pool yesterday, absolutely. And but actually Saturday I went out early to the driving range just to see if I could hit some balls. And I couldn't follow them very well because my eye still is not completely healed, but it is getting better.
Did the contact feel good though? Were you making? Were you
Decent.
the strike good?
There was a few that I felt really good. It's just like I knew where it ended up. And it was, I said, I don't want to go to the pool. It's like 88, 89 degrees. I said, you know what? I'm just going to chill out at home. Just
Hey, you can't beat
embrace
the
embrace
AC.
the AC.
Yeah.
But
When did you get your power back? I wasn't here last
Oh,
night.
we got the power back an hour, not an hour. We lost it for about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have to go through the whole weekend.
No, that would have been.
Didn't lose food.
No, did not lose food. Well, we didn't. We actually we took stuff in our freezer that we thought we might have needed to my sister-in-law's for a day, and then we went back. 'Cause it was okay.
Pretty much 24 hours.
Yes, exactly. All right, we're talking about the Lions, and do you sense impending doom for this 2021 season? If impending doom is, I don't know, less than 6 wins, I see impending doom. I think they're a 5-win team.
I think
at
impending
best.
doom means more, 2-3 wins.
Oh, that's possible. I think it's very possible. I look, things change, injuries on a lot of teams. And I know they're not showing everything and all. I just don't think I think it's a roster. I know Campbell and the staff will get a little bit of the blame. But yeah, I see impending doom for this year. And you know what? I am okay with it.
It's such a tough call because the start of the schedule is just so hard.
Oh, the whole schedule is brutal. It's
Well,
the
there are
6th toughest schedule in at least in terms of success last year.
Yeah, but there's some openings there, and I've heard people say the Pittsburgh game's extremely unpredictable because of the how fragile Ben is and stuff like that. But I felt like I felt like they would go over the 5 that Vegas is saying. I thought 6 and 7 would be like the mountaintop. That was if Goff played well and the scheme mattered so much on defense, and I'm just starting to get a bad feeling about this. And it's not going to be a mark on these guys necessarily.
No.
They do get a free pass in year 1, barring complete self-inflicted ridiculous wounds like Marty taking the wind and stuff like that, or all the draft picks suck, it's just the reality of, I said to you guys earlier, the second round pick history under Bob Quinn is just awful. The only one that is going to potentially contribute that's still on the team is DeAndre Swift, and you just can't sustain that kind of bad pick after bad pick and be good. I think schematically, still defensively, that they're going to be better, but the wash on offense is probably worse. The depth on wide receiver, and I just feel like, if I'm sensing 4-13. I'm just getting that feeling, and I know I was even to maybe think about, let's go over.
So here's what gave me a little hope on Saturday is when I was watching some of the receivers run. It wasn't that they were open. They were just some bad passes by Tim Boyle. They were off the mark.
Well, St. Brown dropped.
Yeah.
So you
gotta make that catch.
There's no question you do. But he's also a rookie.
I know.
And I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway when you get into the regular season. You can't start having those That's why we have a preseason. That's what these games are
And look,
for the young guys.
offensively, everything changes when TJ Hawkinson is involved. So I agree.
Yes.
I get that.
Yes, and you have a weapon like a DeAndre Swift or a Jamal Williams in the backfield.
Yes. Ticket tags. 248-539-9797. How can it be impending doom if we all saw this supposedly coming?
I think it's for us who kind of wanted to give it a shot.
I personally think they'll be fine, but it's Lions season, so it's time to overreact to the postseason. Doom all day, every day. Like a dark rain cloud, 3 wins. That's Larry Edwards.
Come on,
So,
Larry.
here are the second round picks in the last 6 years. Abdullah, Ashawn Robinson, Tease Table, Kerryon Johnson, Jelani Tavai, looks like he's going to get cut probably. And then Swift. And then you look at, what they get later in the draft, perhaps. Jonah Jackson, it seems to be a bright spot. But, a huge hit that they had was Kenny Galladay, and he's not here. I mean, it's like, I just don't understand how you can... They just don't have the depth to sustain. Look, if they're one of the healthiest teams in the league, maybe they still get the 6-7 wins. But odds are that doesn't happen.
I agree. Well, it's not, look, Quim's second round picks, they speak for themselves, but historically that round, it's just been awful for this whole franchise.
You can't overcome that.
No, you can't. No, because second round picks are supposed to be major contributors for years. Papa Stu in Oxford says, John, no hope, 0, nothing. I'll buy you a beer when you see your folks in Oxford. 4-13 at best case.
All right.
What do you want? I would love to see them have a season at this point, kind of like the Tigers have.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Like the Pistons did last year, where they competed but they sucked. It's like,
yes.
Because it's hard to sell this at this point.
Right.
Well, and
they will suck, but that's okay. Is the motto for the Lions. That's it.
I want that T-shirt.
Suck, but that's
Salesman
okay.
extraordinaire.
Brandon says, not sure how I feel about this team yet. I tend to say 7 or 8, but the preseason games have not swayed me one way or the other. 14 starters didn't play Saturday, so how someone could be feeling negative after that is beyond me. That's from
Well, what draws concern is the depth that this team is going to have. So we didn't necessarily think that they were going to have great top-end talent. So why would we think that the depth on this team would be great when you don't have a Jamie Collins or Alex Anzalone, and you're left with Reeves Maben and Jelani Tavai? Those guys aren't getting the job done, and they can't get the job done. But if you can stay healthy, and you have an Alex Anzalone and a Jamie Collins, and I'm bringing those guys up because the first 2 touchdowns were it exposed the fact that we had linebackers that can't cover tight ends, let alone tackle running backs out of the backfield.
And historically, how bad has this franchise been in covering tight ends?
Right, it's not been good.
George Kittle he doesn't even have to play. He's just waiting for the opening day because he knows he's going to have 12 for 145 and 3 touchdowns.
Could, but that's where that's when you say you're not going to overreact to game 2. You're not playing some of those guys who could redirect the tight end so that he doesn't get into the back of the end zone and make, those are great catches, but he shouldn't even have been there.
But George Kittle's going to get open on the starters. And so I think the start of
TJ Hawkinson.
the start of the schedule, yeah, you're right, John, with the starters, that they're going to be better off, but the start of the schedule is so difficult that, by the time you get to the little easier part of the schedule, then you got these backups coming in. I love what they did on Saturday, the fact that they played their depth against starters, and you saw what you got. You don't have much.
And again, you're testing out what type of depth you have to see, all right, who we're going to keep. And that's where you're going to evaluate this season. It's not on the second round draft choices that Bob Quinn made. It's on all of the draft choices that Brad Holmes has made. It's on the players that he has acquired, and then what he does. And this is going to be key in the next 2 weeks. All right, who does he trim from this roster, and who can he identify across the NFL that is being cut in from other franchises that he can add that will help Detroit, not over the long term, but in this football season.
Right, they need a speed receiver.
Yeah.
Perriman's probably the fastest receiver they have, but historically he can't stay healthy, right?
Well, yeah, historically, and that's where, again, you're working on one-year contracts with all these receivers, and it's prove it, stay healthy, prove that you can stay healthy, prove that you can be, effective in the secondary, and we'll talk about next year.
By the way, speaking of receivers, and I know it's preseason, but the words out of Cincinnati is Jamar Chase has been struggling.
You saw that. I mean, he dropped. You talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? You can handle it from a third or fourth round guy dropping a couple of passes and say, okay, we're going to work into it.
Not the sixth pick in the draft.
Not the sixth pick in the draft, especially when you've passed on other guys to take him.
The bright spot was that they didn't respond in the second half, even though, you're even more in the depth and stuff. But John, you caught it, and I didn't. Campbell called them out.
Oh, he called him out at halftime, and we're going to get this sound for tomorrow because I think it's really important to hear. But coming out of halftime, he said we were uncompetitive. There were too many penalties, no pressure. Talking about getting pressure on the quarterback, not catching balls from the receivers, too many drops, and no plays in the secondary. I mean, he nailed it.
Yes.
And it's just nice to be able to hear, a coach come out and actually say what he said at halftime to his players. You got to believe that Dan Campbell said that, probably had some more colorful terms to go along with it to get his point across in the locker room. But that's exactly, he identified it, and he said the same thing that we were all thinking at that time. You can't have those penalties, especially by a guy that's a 13-year vet. Fells. That's what offended me the most on Saturday night was a guy that, in one of the holding calls, he should have had the awareness of understanding where the defense was going. Instead, he did not use the defense's movement to his advantage. He grabbed his jersey. Instead, all he had to do was flip his hips over towards the sidelines, and he walls him off. He could have gone to Tebow on him. He was getting away.
There was such a SOL haze around his consecutive mistakes that he made there.
Oh, I know.
Wasn't it? It was just like so. It was so vintage. SOL. By the way, that's what the spread was in that game.
What was it? 6?
6.5.
6.5. Yes.
Stoney, did you partake?
No, I did not.
I know Jim Costa's been doing some preseason stuff.
I know. And the unders weren't as successful this week as they were in week 1. I know that. By the way, John was off last week, as God knows, people were very upset with the time management after the first game, and all that stuff. If it was the regular season, wouldn't you have wanted them to try an onside kick after they scored their last touchdown this time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were successful in the first one.
Yeah, I know.
Why not try it again?
Absolutely. Heather, has news coming up next?
I do. So if you think you had a really crazy, busy weekend, just wait until you hear how bold and bossy's weekend went. Because this racehorse had a very traumatizing few days.
It was
bold and bossy.
97 won the ticket.
Hey, we've all had that dream. It's a tie game, bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded. Well, on FanDuel Sportsbook, you get more than one shot to swing for the fences because FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free. That's right, new users get up to $1,000 back in site credit if your first bet doesn't win. And it only gets better from there. Check out FanDuel's new promo live every Tuesday, $5 Dinger Tuesdays. Place a $25 or larger wager on any player to hit a home run on Tuesday and get $5 bonus in site credit for every home run hit in the game. Take a look. Obviously, we saw Miggy hit his 500. I think he's going to have a flood of home runs coming up. Jonathan Scope is due. So many players. There is a reason FanDuel Sportsbook is America's #1 sportsbook. The app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same game parlay, always on promotions that let you get more action out of every single game day. And most importantly, when you win, they're going to get you your cash in as little as 24 hours. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code Jansen to get in on the action. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Jansen. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 97.1 The Ticket. Must be 21 or over and present. Michigan first online real money wager only for risk-free bet. Refund and bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $25 per game. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
From the WWJ AM 950 Traffic Center, this report brought to you by Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. It is still accident-free on the roads this morning and mainly clear on the freeways, only a little heavy through the work zones. 75 southbound from 14 to 12 Mile, 275 between South Huron Road and 94, also 275 both directions approaching at 1496. Protect yourself from the COVID variants by getting fully vaccinated. Discover the facts at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.
Want to work for one of the coolest places in town? Penske Logistics has part and full-time openings at their cold storage warehouse in Romulus and dry storage in Chesterfield. There's a $1,500 sign-on bonus, and full-time associates will average more than $51,000 in a year. Plus, earn a weekend premium and top-notch benefits. They have daily walk-in open houses between 1 to 3 p.m. weekdays. Apply online at Penske.jobs. You know the name. You see their trucks. Come join the Penske team today. Penske is an equal opportunity employer. Pick your path. Text PLW1 to 25000 to apply.
In business, it's never just another day. Every day is the day that can bring your biggest order yet, or a new cyber threat. Whatever the day holds, with Comcast Business, you'll be prepared. With a network that can deliver gig speeds to the most businesses. Comcast Business Security Edge to help protect your connected devices, and a dedicated team available 24/7. Every day in business is a big day. We'll keep you ready for what's next. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with a fast and reliable internet and voice solution for $35 each a month for 24 months for 2 years when you buy both. Or ask about our best deal on a gig speed bundle with a $500 prepaid card. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go to ComcastBusiness.com to learn more. Offer requires enrollment in paperless billing and auto pay through My Account. Ends 9/19/21. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits per second internet and one voice line. Early termination fee applies. Equipment taxes and fees extra and subject to change.
Powerball is now powered up. This gigantic jackpot game now has new double play, giving you a second drawing with a guaranteed top cash prize of $10 million after each Powerball draw. How about another gift to fun? A third draw day, now Mondays. That's double the chances to win 3 times a week. So plug into Powerball. We're talking big. Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
The Detroit Tigers have kids covered all season long. Join the Tigers for each Sunday home game during the 2021 season. Select children have the ability to participate in first pitches, announce starting lineups, and participate as in-game promotion contestants. Tickets are available now to all home games at Tigers.com.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet. The faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Benito's line cook just threw in his kitchen towel.
This order needs to go out right now.
He needs to find help before his customers are left waiting.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right with you. Who's got table 6?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Fall is just around the corner. Lowe's has what you need to change with the season. Like our new lower prices on select bagged mulch starting at $2.88 per bag. And American Gourmet 3-burner gas grills was $149, now $129. Fall together with Lowe's this Labor Day, in-store and online. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, selection and product availability varies by location. Valid 8/19 through 9/8, U.S. only. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries starting at just $79.99. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Your opinion matters. Call the D Las Vegas 97.1 D Ticket Studio line at 248-539-9797. Book your stay at the D by visiting thed.com. The D Las Vegas, the home of Detroit sports in Vegas.
Text the ticket using the same number you used to call the ticket. Ticket text 248-539-9797.
Tigers off today after defeating Toronto, winning the series. Of course, Miggy hitting the 500th home run. You can hear all the action. action beginning tomorrow night, and then Wednesday is an afternoon affair. Programming note, if you missed the Jim Leland interview, we'll replay it at 9:35. We can also download it on the Odyssey.com if you haven't done that as well. And Mel Tucker scheduled to be with Mike and Rico at 3 o'clock today. So you do not want to miss that. I'm sure we'll play some of that on our program tomorrow. Heather with news. What's up?
Yes. Well, I've got a few breakthrough COVID cases to talk to you guys about.
Okay.
So first, Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel announced on Sunday that he has tested positive for COVID. So he actually revealed the news on a Zoom call with media. He said that he woke up on Sunday morning, he had a sore throat, he had an earache, so he did what he should do. He went and got tested, and he took 2 tests. Both came back positive. So he is now in quarantine. And like I said, this is a breakthrough case because he is vaccinated. So there's a lot of people who are a little worried because his positive tests come after the Titans spent last week taking joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They also had their game against them as well. So, they want to make sure he didn't infect anyone else during this time.
No. Especially their starting quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. And then the second one is actress Melissa Joan Hart. Remember her? Best known as, Clarissa and Sabrina.
Oh, yeah.
If you watch those, like I did back in the day. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yes.
Clarissa Explains It All. Maybe some Hallmark movies. Kissing Under the Mistletoe. She's known for that now, I think. Anyway, she revealed last week that she has a breakthrough case of COVID. She actually posted a really emotional Instagram video, and she shared her struggles with the illness, and she kind of urged others to just be vigilant with all of the precautions. And she also kind of expressed her anger, her sadness, her disappointment, not only with herself, but also with others as well. And she says that she thinks as a country we got lazy. So in this video, she says, I'm vaccinated, I got COVID, and she said it was bad. And she says she's mad because she tried to do everything properly with her family. They took the precautions necessary. They cut their exposure by a lot. But she did say, in recent weeks we got lazy. You start easing up on those precautions, and then that's what she said. She thinks as a country, a lot of people are doing that as well. So hopefully both of them are going to be okay.
People thought once the vaccines, if you got vaccinated, you were free and clear, and then the Delta variant came in. Excuse me. So that's what happened there.
Timely.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And thankfully for Vrabel and for her, that they were vaccinated, because if you were not vaccinated and you get, especially the Delta variant, you could end up in the hospital. As we found out, the vaccine is effective in, even if you get COVID,
lessening symptoms.
Keeping either asymptomatic or basically something that you can get rid of, within a week or so.
Yes, for sure. Sha'Carri Richardson had a lot to say following her 100-meter race on Saturday, which was actually her first race since being banned from competing in the Tokyo Olympics due to that failed drug test. So unfortunately, the race didn't quite go as I'm sure she had hoped. She actually finished dead last in 9th place with a time of 11.14 seconds. Now, the Jamaican trio that swept the podium in Tokyo took home the top 3 spots over the weekend as well. So they took the first, second, and third place here. Now, Richardson did dominate at the U.S. Olympic trials. That was back in June. She took first place then with a time of 10.86 seconds. So after coming in dead last, she did talk to the media, and she made it very clear that she couldn't care less what the haters have to say.
It was a great return back to the sport. I wanted to be able to come in before, having a month off, dealing with all I was dealing with. I'm not upset at myself at all. This is one race. I'm not done. You know what I'm capable of. Count me out if you want to. Pop all the shit you want, because I'm here to stay. I'm not done. I'm the 6th fastest boy in this game ever. And can't nobody ever take that from me.
No one's going to take it from her.
No.
But you got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Listen to this. There's a Traverse City man that is facing charges after allegedly handcuffing giving his son a swirly as a form of punishment. And you know the swirly, right?
Oh yeah.
You stick the head in the toilet and you flush it.
I've
I
heard
don't know
about
what
it.
the kid did, but does it really matter? You've heard about it.
Yes, I've heard rumor.
The kid actually told the Child Advocacy Center in Traverse City that his dad had put his head in the toilet, like I said, and flushed it to punish him. And there was a warrant that was authorized for the dad, and he was arrested during a traffic stop a few days later. He's actually been charged with second-degree child abuse.
I just don't understand. It's awful.
It is. It's very awful. This story, I couldn't believe it. Well, I guess I could believe it when I heard it, but it was shocking. A Dead & Company show at Citi Field turned tragic on Friday. There was a man that actually fell to his death while trying to do a flip off of a balcony. It's a 46-year-old man. He plunged about 30 to 50 feet. This was during intermission, and he landed on concrete. He was taken to a hospital, but he was pronounced dead. And there was actually a driver that was working outside of the stadium at the time who witnessed this guy. He says he saw the man flip before he fell and slammed head first into the ground.